guys, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a video on a topic I was kind of avoiding, but I want to talk about the Netflix upcoming adaptation of the Chronicles of Narnia. Now, a lot has been released. It's all speculation. There's a lot of leaks and some names have been mentioned for certain characters. And it's causing some controversy, and I think rightly so if you understand the source material. So let's talk about it, because I feel like if you live long enough, you will get to see your favorite fandom kind of destroyed. And unfortunately for me, this has happened with Lord of the Rings. If you loved Rings of Power, good for you. It didn't work for me. I watched the first episode and I just decided I'm done. I don't hate watch things. I was not going to make videos on it. I did one kind of just going over my thoughts on the first episode and the characters. And then as I saw more and more videos on it and kind of saw what it was going towards, and I just didn't connect with it. And that's fine. I feel like it definitely wasn't made for me, because I'm very much I want the book. I don't want whatever they were doing. But it seems that Netflix has decided to go a very different direction than what is in the books. If you know the Narnia series, I have some of the books here, some of the books there. This is an allegory, and unlike what Tolkien was doing with Lord of the Rings, C.S. Lewis was very, very clear. This is an allegory. This is Aslan, and if you don't know the series, but most people even know this, Aslan is Jesus. And this is not subtle. It's not supposed to be. It's very much hey, this is a book for kids, but it's showing, and this book especially, Aslan is Jesus, and he sacrifices himself for one of the children. There's a whole, it's in the book. This is who Aslan is. So with some upcoming casting leaks, these are not confirmed. This is all just what might happen. One person's name was floated around for Jadis. That was Charlie XCX. I don't even know who that is. And like I said, I'm just going off of these, these are rumors and articles that are being published right now. And then Daniel Craig for Uncle Andrew, which would indicate or seemingly indicate that they're adapting The Magician's Nephew, which I will get into. It's going to be hard to adapt, especially if they go this way that they're going. And then Meryl Streep for Aslan. And when I first heard this, I thought that was definitely no, this is an April Fool's joke. There's no way that they're going to have Meryl Streep be the voice of Aslan. I'm assuming he, or in this case, she is going to be a CGI lion. So it would just be the voice. But I thought, okay, Meryl Streep has done voice acting. She has a very distinctive, very feminine voice. I heard her voice acting in Fantastic Mr. Fox. She sounds like Meryl Streep. She doesn't do, there are some characters that are male characters voiced by female voice actors. But when she was doing voice acting, she very much sounds like Meryl Streep. So I was confused, and I saw that supposedly this is going to be a gender bent, meaning that Aslan will be a woman, or a lioness rather than a lion. Now, this is where I feel like Netflix is tanking this show before it can even get off the ground. They do this a lot. Networks, and I feel like especially with adaptations, they'll release things and I'm you want this to fail, don't you? Do you see what you're doing? Because I just don't get who that's for. Nobody that I am aware of was you know what Aslan needs to be is a woman. And I cannot see any other reason other than to be ha ha ha, God's a woman. And knowing that this is a Christian author and a Christian IP, that you're going to say, well, look what we did, and in your face. I don't get that. Even if you're not Christian, I just don't see the point of taking a beloved character and changing it to a different gender for what I could see would only be to score some political or, I don't know what this is even for. Who is that for? Who is that for? Because I love this series. It's one of my favorite. One of the series that got me into fantasy reading, and Aslan is a male. And if they're adapting The Magician's Nephew, it's definitely going to be a very difficult undertaking, because The Magician's Nephew is the first book chronologically, but not, it wasn't written first. So it's going back and kind of giving you the origin story of Narnia. And it starts off in London, then you're going to go to this world between worlds, then you're going to go to a dying world, and then you're going to be there for the creation of Narnia. And Aslan literally sings Narnia into existence. It's very good, but Aslan is male, and I don't know why that would change. Like, I cannot fathom how this would be something that would be worthwhile to change for the story. Like, what story are you telling? And someone like close to the project said that this is going to be totally different and it's all about rock and roll. That was a quote, and I was like, what on earth? What are you doing? What does rock and roll have to do with Narnia? What does Meryl Streep have to do with Aslan? What is Charlie XCX? Is that her name? She's a singer. I don't think she has any acting credits. And quite frankly, so Jadis is later the White Witch. She is introduced in The Magician's Nephew as basically the queen of this dying world. And then she gets taken to London, and then they go to Narnia. And that's, and she kind of is then like the evil that is, starts working in Narnia, and eventually becomes White Witch. So she's quite a dynamic character. You should have a very seasoned actress, or somebody with a very strong presence. I know nothing about the singer. She may be amazing. I mentioned the name to my brother and he did know who it was, but I must be too old. So you need a presence. And I guess because of the success of Lady Gaga in acting, maybe they thought, we'll just do a singer, but she better be really good. And Daniel Craig as Uncle Andrew, to me, I was neither here nor there on it. I've seen him in a few things and he never impressed me as being amazing, but I might have not have been watching his best work. So that's on me. And then Meryl Streep as Aslan. So besides the fact that, once again, Aslan is mentioned as being male, he has a mane, he has a male lion, referred to only with he pronouns. I don't get it. Stop with this. It's so obnoxious. I hope that this is wrong because I feel like they want it to fail. And there's been so many high budget films coming out lately where I feel like they tanked themselves. Most recently would obviously be Snow White, which had controversy after controversy and mainly due to its lead actress. But a lot of times they'll release these adaptations and you'll start to see things if you've seen pictures from the new Wuthering Heights adaptation, yikes, let me just say yikes. When they started releasing stuff for the Persuasion adaptation and it said things where she was saying it's even worse, we're not strangers, we're exes. What the heck kind of language is that in a Jane Austen adaptation? Do not come in here with that. So frustrating. So I feel like they did this also with Rings of Power where they wanted to stir up this controversy of fans aren't going to like this because there's a black elf. Listen, honey, the black elf was the freaking least of your problems, the very least. And I didn't even consider it a problem because he was actually a decent character and he was good looking. And quite frankly, most of those elves looked, when you think of ethereal beauty, let's just say that they did not qualify. And I'm just going to say it. I don't feel bad. I saw the cast, yikes. And those haircuts, yikes. So the black elf, I get what they were going for. People are going to be so outraged. Nobody cared. That was not why Rings of Power was not popular with Tolkien fans. It's because it had nothing to do with Tolkien. It was its own thing. It's generic fantasy, in my opinion. Now, if you want to adapt Narnia to generic fantasy, once again, you're going to be taking a lot out of this story. This is allegory. This is C.S. Lewis telling this from a Christian perspective with strong Christian influence and strong Christian messaging. Whether you're a Christian or not, this is just the intention of the books. So if you remove all that and make Narnia generic fantasy, this is what you should do. And I will just give this advice because Greta Gerwig, who's attached to this project, most famously known for Barbie. I never saw it, no interest in it. So she's most well known for Barbie. And it made tons of money. And unfortunately, when something like that happens, I feel that these directors, they get this idea that they can do no wrong. They can take anything and it's like they've got Midas touch. Like, no, you still need to be careful. You still need to actually make something that the fans want to see. So here's my advice to Greta Gerwig and whoever is attached to this project. If you want to make generic fantasy, originally this project was listed as the Pevensey, or it's the last name of Lucy, Susan, Edmund, and Peter. I cannot say it correctly. I keep saying it wrong, but I'll put it there. It was called the Pevensey, or I don't know, era, which would be perfect. Let me just tell you what you should do. So perfect. When this book happens, these kids reign in Narnia for years, going from childhood to adulthood. That period of time is only briefly mentioned in one other book, The Horse and His Boy, which is back there. And it's a whole time period where you could do whatever you wanted. Anything could technically happen in that storyline. You could use characters that are known. You could explore the characters of, Lucy, Susan, Peter, Edmund, as far as like what they're doing, how they're growing up, what they're dealing with is like they establish their reign, all the like court politics. You could have their interactions with the other kingdoms. It could be really good. Plus you have all the talking animals, all of the like remnants of the, like the factions that supported the White Witch. Like you got to deal with all that. And you could have a really, really interesting show set during that time. You could even bring in the characters from A Horse and His Boy, because that's kind of a, you could make it into a, it's not really, but kind of a hate to love situation. It could be. I think you could work with that. It's probably the most that you're going to get from Narnia. There's not a lot of romance. So I think that's what they should have done. Also, you get the whole kingdom that's introduced to Tashban, I believe. I'll have to put it there. I don't remember. But you get a whole nother kingdom that if you want to have like racial diversity, go ahead. You can make this, the interactions with them and other kingdoms, bring in a bunch of different races and characters. It would all work. It would all be seamless. And I am totally on board with it. I want that whole era could just be set in Narnia. So that's what I would suggest. Kind of like how Little House on the Prairie, someone mentioned this to me when I was talking about Anne with an E. It's one of my comments, so thank you. Anne with an E, she was saying, was set in that era, but like Little House on the Prairie, it's like just set there and then they did their own thing. And that's how I feel like with Anne with an E, you have to, I didn't like it, but you still, makes sense. Like they just wanted something set in Anne of Green Gables world. It's fine by me. That's what they want to do. But if you want to use Narnia as like your jump off point, like we're going to have magic, we're going to have talking animals, we're going to have this, Narnian feel, then you could just do that. Do it during their reign. Everything is going good or bad. However, it doesn't matter because, spoiler, I guess, at the end of this book, they go back home. Their reign isn't really explored. It just says they reigned in Narnia for so many years. And then they go back to England. So it's like, that's like a giveaway, like free. Like all that time, it like mattered in Narnia, but not in their real world. So, and it's not like it ever, besides their reign being mentioned as like, they were great kings and queens, they were like the best rulers that Narnia ever had. It's not like a lot is known about that time period. There is mention in Horse and His Boy that there was going to be a possible marriage alliance. So many fun things that you could work with. Like, why not? Why would you do that? Why would you do, which, if they do The Magician's Nephew, that's like so much harder to work with because you're going further back in time in England history, because it's set obviously much before that, like way before the events of this, let's just put it that way. And so you have England, you have to set up like the time period, you know, have to work within that time period. I know they won't want to, but yeah, it's going to be England in a certain time period. Then you have to have the magic introduced of being able to travel out of this world, out of England, into the world between worlds. So these are all going to be like sets and budget and a lot needed to like explain all of this. Then you have the world between worlds where you can get into other worlds. Then you have to explain where Jadis came from. You have to explain, if I've said Jadis or Jadis, I'm sorry. I don't know why it's interchangeable to me in my mind. But Jadis, where she comes from, you have to have her whole setup, her backstory. Then you have to have her traveling back to England, and then Narnia, the creation of Narnia, and then like that story that happens in Narnia. So it's gonna be difficult to adapt. I feel like if you don't, like most people know this book, like they don't know all of the other books. This is obviously the most popular one. All of them are great. Read them. They're amazing. Love them. But even with the Disney adaptations, as they went on, they got worse and worse in quality, in my opinion. Prince Caspian may have been a hottie, but there was no romance between him and Susan. Like, hate to burst that bubble, like absolutely did not happen in the books. Would not have happened in the books, because she's a historical figure to him. It's so funny to me. Like, stop with this nonsense. She would be as if King Arthur came back to England right now. Like, and you know what I mean? Like, that's how it would feel to him. It's like this amazing historical figure came back. It would be like George Washington coming back to America. Like, this is how he would feel. He's not going to be like, ooh, she's looking pretty good for her age. Like, however it's working to him, he's not looking at her like a love interest. And I thought that was super weird. They tried to horn that in, whatever, Disney. And then, of course, it got worse. I feel like they really messed up with The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which should have been the best and easiest to adapt because the book is amazing. Amazing. So this is my rant. Here are my ideas. If you have ideas about what you would like to see as far as like a book to movie adaptation, or one you're hoping that they do not touch because it's so beloved to you, so like has such a big place in your heart, let me know in the comments. I apologize. I just had to talk about this because I'm baffled. Like, I'm baffled. If you can think of a good reason for them to be like, no, we need Aslan to be a woman, also tell me in the comments. Like, I love discussion. Even if I think it's wrong, I maybe there's something I'm not thinking of other than them wanting to. I think Greta Gerwig loves to be a little bit subversive. Like, she's trying to like, oh, I'm gonna, I know what it's supposed to be, but I want my own spin. And I just think it's not a good idea for Narnia to take such a like good story, such a beloved IP, and then have like this kind of ego to be like, no, I want to do it my way and change it so much. It would be as if Gandalf was a woman. It would be if they changed Katniss to a man. It would be if like they changed Harry Potter to a woman. I know that Snape is now going to be black in the upcoming series, but that's, at least it's still a man. I mean, I think it's a dumb idea to change it, but also I'm like, that's much more easily like justifiable than, Snape is a woman. Why? Why would you do it? And I know that I'm probably more sensitive about it because this is like one of my top series. Like, got me into reading. I love it. It's my childhood in a nutshell. It's just me in my room reading by candlelight with these books. Don't ask why by candlelight. I just felt like it made me like more immersed in that world. But those are my thoughts, and I'm in the process of packing my books and moving, so I have no idea when I'll get back on here, but I am planning on reading. Ooh, here you are. This one I think is up next. I have an Agatha Christie book. It's like loosely based off of a portion of her life, and then I have something else that I'm trying to get to. So I will hopefully be on here with a review for this soon, but if I move, then it may be pushed out a little bit further. But anyway, I appreciate you guys watching and commenting and telling me what you think. And definitely let me know if there's like a book or movie you'd love to see made into an adaptation, or one that you're hoping they never ever do because it break your heart. And I'll talk to you soon.